I am kind of hoping that everybody in the session is has been in session on Tuesday and on Wednesday, and so you were part of the whole unpacking of the virtual gear competition. So I introduced the competition. All the content is available on the M3 MOOC portal, and if anybody is not sure where that is, I will revisit that again. And so that was the first thing. Then there were the different categories, and there's a category for the grades 1, 2, and 3 called the Virtual Gear Mini. And then from grade 4 upwards, if you're a primary school that has never competed in a competition before, then that primary school team will enter as a local team. Otherwise, if you've already competed in a competition, or you are a high school team and you are a global team, these are the teams that are using either a Spike Prime or an EV3 robotics kit. For the grade 1, 2s, and 3s using Spike Essential or the WeDo set. And then we've got the open category, and the open category's got no age limit, no robotics kit limit, no programming limit. So anything goes in that category. Yeah, and what you have to do is you have to complete the missions in 2 minutes, which is 120 seconds, and see how many points you get. And then when you have finished your best run and you think that is viable to enter, you then enter that as a URL or a video, and we have asked you that you please enter a video that doesn't focus on the whole audience and everybody else. I say that'll be great for marketing, but that's not what we want for the competition. We just want focus on the robot, showing us how it completes all the missions in the 120 seconds allocated. If you have a timer who can say go and stop shouting out, that'll be great. And if you have this team's name somewhere written on the board or stuck on the board or announced somewhere, that'll also help when we do the refereeing. There were no entries for term number 1, so we're looking forward to term number 2. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to referee them as they come in, so we can have a leaderboard, and we'll start maybe that in 2 weeks' time and see what the entries are like. All right, so that's the competition. And then M3 really focuses on bringing it all together. So in M1, we learned the basic navigation, basic building of a chassis, and passive attachments. And in M2, we learned about using sensors, using the repetition and the decision structures in programming. We learned about gearing, and then we learned about powered attachment. So all that together then comes into M3, and we applied that yesterday. The 2 sessions were about considering the constraints and the risks and the specs of the actual competition. And then also was an extra unit for unit 4 was how to present it. If you are using the virtual gear competition as part of your teaching and you need learners to have something to do where they've got to present something orally, they can do their oral presentation, and I've given you guidelines on how to do that. Or if you want something written, if your students need to compile a written document, then they can use the outline in unit 4. They're welcome to use that. And all the presentations are available under syllabus of M3 as PDF documents, smaller PDF documents. You're welcome to download that and use that as well. And then hopefully the recordings will be up. I'm hoping by the weekend. I'm not going to put my head on a block, but I think hopefully by the weekend. And so there we go. All right. So by way of a summary, that's where I am in this. And I'm happy to go to answer any questions. I do have a board here, a mat, and I was going to do some display. And I was hoping that Tumelo would have a robot that could do something so we could explain it a little better. But we will start putting explanation videos up soonest, as soon as we have some videos to show what the robot must do and should do. Okay, and then I see Sylvia's also joined us. Sylvia is the technical advisor for this competition. So if you have any queries of whether it's allowable or not allowable, Sylvia is the technical advisor on this competition. You've always got to have one person that has got the final say whether something is allowed or not allowed. All right. And okay. All right. So I'm going to first ask, before I go to the mat, I want to show you some things on the mat. Before I go there, are there any Any questions? Anybody has any questions, technical or not technical, or just general theory? You're welcome to ask now. If you raise your hand, Anzani will, what's it, activate your mic or something like that. Anybody got any questions before we continue? I'm assuming everybody has downloaded the documents and has read through the documents and understands the documents. All right. Anybody who maybe missed yesterday or Tuesday's sessions that needs clarification of something that maybe they missed, I'm happy to go through it again. Anybody? Ha! There we go. Lindiwe, yes. Antonio, are you going to activate the mic? There we go. Lindiwe, you can unmute yourself. Yes.
Yes. Good afternoon, Doc.
Afternoon.
How are you?
So far, so good. So far, so good. Yes.
I'm fine. I wasn't there from that day till yesterday, so I don't know what is happening, but I hope I can catch up along the way.
Okay. You do know this is a robotics competition?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's a good start. Okay. I will. Okay. So I will just kind of briefly explain the robotics competition. All the details are available on the MOOC portal under M3. All right. Do you know how to access the MOOC portal?
Yes.
Okay. So under M3, under syllabus, you will find all the documents. And we are playing this year, we are playing Robo Olympics. That's the competition we're going to do. And we spent yesterday and the day before yesterday kind of explaining how do you unpack a robotics competition? How do you solve each bit of the problem and then put it all together in a strategy to run a robot in 120 seconds? Yes.
Okay.
All right. All right. If it's still unclear by the time we finish the session today, I'm happy to answer more questions. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dot.
All right. Stay strong. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Dusasani, your microphone has been enabled. Hi.
Good day, Dr. Host and everybody. Yes. Unfortunately, I missed yesterday's presentation. Okay. Today, I cracked my head trying to find maybe a recording or something on the M3 portal, but I couldn't find anything. So I just want. Ouch. I just want to understand how do I get yesterday's full session, because I actually wanted to go through, to have a view before today's, and unfortunately I couldn't find it.
Okay, so the recordings go onto the iSet UNISA YouTube channel, but it gets edited before we just plonk it there, so that you won't get a raw recording. It will be edited and it should be up by the weekend. We have a number of volunteer students who put these recordings up for us. Okay, but in the meantime, if you look under M3 under syllabus, there you will find the PDFs of all the presentations that we did on Tuesday and on Wednesday.
Okay, I think I saw those. It's only that I just didn't go through them, but I will.
All right, all right. But shout if you need more help, okay?
All right, I will. Thank you very much.
Very welcome. Very, very welcome. Okay. All right. Anybody else got any questions? Anybody? Okay, I think Dusasani's hand is just up because it's still up. Okay, all right. Yes, you've got another hand up. Yes, Dusasani. No. Okay. All right. Thanks,
no, I was just putting my hand down.
Okay. All right. Okay. So just to come now to, so where do you start? Well, you're going to need a robot, but the robot needs to be built so that it can do some of these missions. Okay. So if you, okay, there we go. I'm going to share a document quickly. Just give me half a. If you look at the mat, kind of give me some ideas. What do you think the first thing you need to have on a robot? Okay, I'm going to now open the floor and say, what do you think you need to include on a robot? Any ideas? Right, let's narrow the field. If we want to do the run around the track, you know, the robot has a track. Remember, this is Olympics. This is all the sports. What do you need to follow a line that the robot can move around a track? Anybody can put up their hands. Any suggestions? What do you think some of the first things you will need to have on a robot? This is part of your design, okay? You need to rethink and think about what does your robot look like to be able to follow a line around a racetrack. All right, I have got one hand. Anzani, do you want to activate the microphone for Lusanda?
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Thank you, Dr. House. I would like to answer the question.
I'm listening, yes.
For me, what is important when you're going to run the robot on the track, there must be the color sensor, especially to follow the line. And also, if there is an obstacle that you are avoiding, you can also include the distance sensor. And also your motors as well, just to make sure that they are functional in a proper way. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah.
No, I just wanted to talk about the touch sensor. That I'm still not clear about the touch sensor. I'm not sure if it will be part of today's session. And also the gyro sensor. Those two sensors, I think I'm 30% knowledgeable about them, and I don't think I am confident enough to teach them and to introduce them.
No. Okay, so let's thank you, Lusanda. Let me just ask Sylvia. Sylvia, are the cups on the track when we run around the track? Or are we only crossing over the X's?
They're there from the beginning.
They're there.
Yes.
They are there from the beginning. Okay, so here's our first challenge. All right, we're going to run around the track, and now we've got obstacles on the track. So, is there a mission, or is there anything that can remove the cups off the track? Anyone? You all have the document in front of you. Is there any mission that removes the cups off the track? I'm just going to share my screen quickly.
Can you perhaps use the attachment to push it, and then the robot?
You can. Yes, you can. All right. So look at mission number 2 are the obstacles. It says remove the obstacles from the racetrack. So maybe you need to do mission 2 first. All right. So now you're going to start with mission 2. You see, you're already formulating a strategy. Your strategy says, I want to run around the track as fast as possible. But to get around the track as fast as possible, maybe I need to first remove the obstacles. All right. So let's go look at the obstacles. What have we got? The obstacles, and Sylvia, you must come in if there's a more technical way. The obstacle says there are 3 cups on the red X's. We've got to remove them off the red X's and bring the cups back to base. All right. So they're there and there and there. You've got to bring them back to base. What is the quickest way you can bring them back to base? What would you need to bring them back to base? Anybody? What do you think would be the quickest way to remove these 3 cups and bring them back to base? Anybody want to give me an answer? Anybody? How do you remove obstacles? Oh, Lusanda again. Yes.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the attachment, the one that opens up. I don't know whether it's a gripper, if you call it a gripper, but it opens up and then it can consolidate. I'm not sure the distance between the cups, but it can consolidate the three of them and put them in one spot. But now I'm under point of correction when it comes to the distance between the cup. But I've got the picture of the gripper, if you call it a gripper, the one that opens like a scorpion.
Okay, so yes, we can use a gripper. However, let's just watch here. If we don't even need to grip them. All right. What about if we just have a bumper? So we don't have to hold them, because if you just have the empty cups, they're light. Can we just not clear them? All right. Then you've got to choose, well, the team has got, as long as it's not touching the red X. So you can do with these 3 cups what you like. Obviously, if you get 30 points, if you can get them back onto that green square, hallelujah, that's great. Then you get 30 points. But maybe your team says, no, we just want to clear it. We just want to get them off the X's. All right. Then you just go, woo, and you get them off the X's. All right. Then you have got each obstacle not touching the red X. You've got 15 points because you've got 3 off. All right. Now you've already done the first part. Great. Then you can run around the track. And the running around the track, you've got to go as fast as possible. Now we come back to Lucinda's thing, which says we've got to race. Okay. It says here, the robot may follow the inside or outside of the line and may drive clockwise or counterclockwise. All right. So if you start here and go that way around, or you start here and go that way around, you're still going to get 20 points. Okay. If you start here and go around, but you don't get back to green, you only get 15 points. Okay, because then you've only crossed 1 X. If you only get to here, you've crossed 1 X and 2 X's. And if you go here around, you've got 1 X, you didn't get to the second X. And then you've got it, maybe the robot stops or something. Okay, got to do line follow. So that is something you have to choose, whether you're going to go all the way back to base or just go halfway. All right. So also a thing that you need to consider, if you're just going around the track, and as you go around the track, you clear the obstacles. All right. You can try that. You can do the 2 together in one mission. All right. But then maybe the cup falls over and the robot loses its follow the line, and then that's high risk. That sounds like high risk to me. All right. Okay, so you've got to do follow the line. This is the 1 mission. That's mission 1. And mission 2 was about removing the obstacle. That was mission 2. All right. Any questions? We have run the race. Any questions so far? Any questions? All right. So do we need a big robot? No. What do we need? We need a robot with a color sensor on to follow the line. All right. And the color sensor needs to be on the front of the robot, because you can follow the line. If you follow it on the right, if you follow with the 2 wheels, and if you're following on the left-hand side, or my left-hand side, then the robot's color sensor needs to be attached on the left-hand side. All right. And you need to test it out. So there's the other problem. If it was a straight line, you could go to 100% power and follow the line. That would be easy. But it's not. It's not a straight line. You notice it's got curves in it. It's got little points in it. All right. It's got 6 sides. So it's not straightforward. Okay. Any questions? Any ideas? Okay. So we've got a color sensor already, and we've got a passive attachment. But you don't need a passive attachment for all the other missions. All right. So your passive attachment is attached to the front of the robot. Okay. And then you must be able to take it off. So one of the good things of doing passive attachments is it clips on and clips off. So it should have pins on it to clip it on and clip it off. Okay. There we go. We've got 2 missions done. Well, the team hasn't got. And I'm hoping that they're going to start next week. Soon. All right. I'm going to share again. Let's have a look. All right. Thanks, Ansani. All right. Here we go. Okay, so we've done mission 1 and mission 2. That seems doable. Okay. All right. Now the next one is the hurdles. All right. what does it say here? So you got to get over the hurdles. They're pencils that you stick down. Okay, you can put a press stick or insulation tape or something. But you've got to go over all 4. Anybody want to suggest something? What would work best to go over these hurdles? Anybody want to give us a guess? I'm not going to give you the answer for this one. No?
Sorry, what
Sorry,
was
what?
the answer? Sorry, what was the question again?
Can you see it on my screen? Am I sharing?
Yes, I can see your screen, Doc.
Okay, so the question is, you've got hurdles, okay? So you've got 4 pencils. Those are the hurdles. So the robot's got to get over them, over all 4, okay, without getting stuck. So it's got to, if it goes over all 4, you get 20 points. If it goes only over 3, you get 15. 10, and if it only goes over 1, then you get stuck. So the point is the robot must go over all 4 without getting stuck. Any suggestions? What do you think will work best? Big wheels or small wheels? So it goes back to the question. If you have somebody competing in hurdles, who is more successful? The child with the short legs or the child with the long legs? Right.
Can I?
I'm not. Yes.
I'm just thinking now on the scenario of the truck, or the big trucks that they will use. The big trucks, they always have big wheels for anything that is going to be heavier. So I think it will be good to use the big wheels in this situation.
And maybe, Lusanda, that's also part of your learning, where you tell the learners, put little wheels on and see where that works. Put the next size wheel on, see where that works. Put the big wheels on and see where that works. Don't give them the answer, say, no, use big wheels, all right? Let the learners try different wheels. This is a learning experience. It's not a race to get the thing finished. It's a race to learn. It's a race, it's like, oh, yes, when I went over the hurdles and I used little wheels, we got stuck. You use slightly bigger wheels, you got stuck, but you at least had a better time. But when you use big wheels, you had a quicker time. All right. Audrey, I see you had your hand up. Yes. Audrey Baloy?
Unfortunately, Ma'am Lusanda had already responded, but also to comment on that one. For our learners in technology in grade 8, they are asked the question that if you are using a wheelchair, the function of the smaller wheels in front and the function of the larger wheels at the back, then it makes sense for them to understand and be able to interpret it.
Yes. I'm going to share a secret with you. Hang on a minute. Let me just go. I just want to go fetch a robot quickly. Just give me half a minute. All right. So, here we go. Okay, so a lot of the teams build a Riley rover. This is kind of a Riley rover, a little bit of a modified Riley rover. And they have this thing at the back, which is your cast. Oh, it's a bit loose. They have a caster wheel, okay? Yeah, it's great for following the line. But what do you think happens with this when you go over the hurdles? You need to have enough power in your front wheels to pull this little caster wheel over. So a better design, and please, when you're talking to your learners, don't tell them what the answer is, but a better design, instead of having this caster wheel that gets stuck between the pencils, all right, or between the hurdles, rather put wheels on, put little wheels on, okay, that they roll over the hurdles. This one is stuck. This one gets stuck, I promise you. This gets stuck, okay? A caster wheel is really good for building your first robot, but it's not reliable, okay? And it's going to get stuck on the hurdles. All right. Please let your teams try it. Let's just try it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's just have a look. Where are we now? Let's have a look through the. I'm going to quickly share again my document. I'm hoping you're all making notes in your document as we go along. All right, here we go. All right, so we've done the hurdles, okay? And then we've done that. How do you approach that one? All right. Now the next one is a javelin. All right. And we've got to throw it. And it almost feels like a Goldilocks story. You can't throw it too far, because otherwise you're going to be off the mat and then you're going to get nothing. Okay, that's just not okay. All right, but if you throw it a little further and you go into the green zone, that's what we want. All right, so that the point of the javelin must land in the green zone. You're going to get 15 points. 10 points if it's in the yellow zone. All right, so maybe in your testing of your javelin throwing, maybe 10 points is fine. All right, because that is the least risk. And 5 points if it lands in this. Now, the field is quite big, all right? And you need to test how far you are going to throw the javelin. It says throw the javelin from base. And you've got 2 javelins, 2 full-size pencils. You cannot sharpen them to their little pencils. But the javelins must start in base. Your robot must sit in base, and then the javelin must be launched, and it must go somewhere. All right. Everybody good on that? All right, so now I'm going to stop sharing. I need to hear some advice. How do you throw a javelin? It's a pencil, but this is a pen. How do you throw it? I'm going to ask Sylvia. Sylvia, you want to give us some tips of how to throw a javelin?
Now I've got to think. To be fair, you don't have to throw it like what you would think a human. It's more like launch.
Launch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Throwing implies a little bit of, well, even launch does. There's a very small space where you get a good score. So if you just throw it anywhere, you've got a good chance of throwing it off the mat, and then you don't score anything.
So that's high risk, huh? That's very high risk.
That's high risk. Also, you don't need to launch it very high at all, because then it also bounces. If I have to think, we had a robot that had an arm that you could flip either way. So it could either lift things from the one side or drop things from the other side. It was an ambidextrous robot. It's a very cool one. And that one you could definitely put things on the
like that.
So-called bottom of the arm and sort of launch it.
That could work. That could work. Yeah.
Also, hands in it. So if you really want to launch it.
I think the high risk though is that you are too excited and that you throw it far too far. That is the problem. Yeah.
Yes, I definitely.
And then you're going to score nothing.
Yes. Well, if you consider it an actual javelin, it is sharp and pointy, so you don't really want it to go awry and hit somebody on an actual field. Hence why it needs to be slightly more controlled.
Yeah. And luckily you have 2 tries, eh? You have 2 javelins to throw.
And if your robot can go fetch the javelins that it didn't throw in the correct place, it can reuse those. But you can't remove them by hand.
But your robot can go and fetch them.
Yes, that would be a blue function.
Oh, there we have it. There is an extra part. So if you go and fetch your javelin that you're not happy with, you can throw it again. Excellent. But you're not allowed to touch it by hand.
Nope, robot has to do everything on the field.
Are there any penalties in this Robo Olympics, Sylvia?
Only for picking up the robot. So if you touch the items, they just get removed from the playing field.
Yeah.
Easy.
So no touching the robot if it's not in base.
Yeah. Well, again, you can touch it, but then you get a penalty, and this isn't a game with so many missions, so there's not that many chances to earn points. So you really don't want to get penalties for sort of silly things. You want to leave them for when you actually need them.
Yes, I agree.
And as for touching the game pieces, again, if you do pick them up by hand, they get removed, as in they don't score at all. So you need to teach that to your kids and practice it with them, so that when you have a score sheet and you're checking them at the end of the day, they have to behave like it's an actual game. So you can have a timer going, you can have the score sheet there. They must know where they can and can't put their hands. Again, read the documents carefully, because you can actually store stuff on the mat this season, but just read it, read nicely. It says where you can and can't put stuff. This is why we encourage you. This is why we encourage the coach to read the rules and give the rules to the kids. They're not difficult to understand. We wrote them in nice plain language. And then you are there to answer any questions and make sure that they actually understood what that means. And again, if any of that stuff is not clear, please do ask us as soon as possible. You're not the only ones asking questions. And if there are enough of the same thing, then we'll update the documents or send out notifications, have a frequently asked questions page. All communication helps.
Absolutely. I think what we'll also do is we'll do a Q&A session for virtual gear once a month at least. So we can add all the issues as well. Okay.
Yeah. It can be a Q&A, and if there's anybody who's already done a few missions, they can maybe just brag about it.
Bragging is always good. Bragging.
Give
We
some
like bragging.
inspiration. Yeah. Well, give some inspiration to the other coaches who haven't gotten their kids started on anything.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So everybody is fine with Javelin. Thank you, Sylvia. Everybody's fine with Javelin. We're launching it. We've got 2 javelins. Not too excited. Not off the field. We've got to play it safe, but we want as many points as possible. All right. Okay. Now we're going to move
sorry,
Yes,
Doctor.
Lisanda.
I'm not okay about the javelin. Like, I couldn't get it exactly how the robot can throw this javelin. Like, if the robot is gonna use an attachment, like I don't get a picture of it. Like, I didn't get it, to be honest.
All right. Lisanda, if you look on the Riley rover, there is a cargo loader attachment. It's a powered attachment. So it attaches on the front. I will see whether there's one for Spike Prime, but you basically need an arm. So whereas you used to have something to pick things up or pick things up like that, now you need something like that. All right. So it's a structure on a motor, and so you program it to throw the javelin. It'll be attached to the robot.
Oh, no, yeah, I've got a picture at least now. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, don't think too much like a human. It's a robot. You don't have to throw the javelin by like gripping it like a human would. You can turn it, horizontally and just chuck it. Also,
No, I think that's important. Yeah, because also now I'm thinking of a human mind.
that is a big issue with most of these things. It's the same with any mission that's called pick up. If you think about how many muscles we have in our hands and fingers, that is currently robots are struggling with that a lot. So you must be very careful to teach them the language. And when you're showing them examples, make sure they can see the movement. Is it gripping and then going up? And then you need to examine the gears very well, because there's gears happening there, or there's 2 motors. Yeah. You need to check. You need to sort of classify the movements, the motions. Is it just going sideways? Is it just going up and down? Does it have enough gears that it's changing the direction in a pattern? You need to pay attention to again, the movements you need, and don't think too much like a human. That's why we encourage you to always build off of instructions to begin with, so that you get an idea, because then you kind of see, oh, this thing goes up and down. But with the cargo loaders, they're normally sort of, I want to say, bucket shaped, so that they're more for carrying things, yes, like that. And now when you tell them to go collect something, they're not automatically going to think to just flip the cargo loader and go collect it. They're going to think of picking it up, which is much, much more difficult. That's why if you follow the MOOCs and everything, there are missions in there that encourage you to do things. That's why competitions like the Gear have different, different things like throw and collect, so that you start getting ideas. If you do, yeah, if you do want to see a lot of examples of that stuff, the FLL videos are very good. Just watch them first before you show them to your kids, that you can sort
Yeah.
of narrate them a little bit. It is always cool to see the robots, but if they're not paying attention to what's happening, then it's just a cool video, whereas it could be a very useful tool.
I'm actually, Sylvia, as you're talking there, on for Gone Tubing, there was a really cool powered attachment.
Yes,
Maybe-
lift.
Yeah, yes. So maybe if you want to go and look at that as well, it's on the M3 and under Gone Tubing, there was a really cool attachment that lifted things and dropped things. So maybe it could just shoot things as well. Just say. All right. Thank
Yeah,
you very much.
The whole point is to look at examples of robots.
Yes.
And to show your kids examples of robots, because sometimes it's as easy as just flipping the attachment the other way around. That's the fun part of Lego. So you can take it apart and build it a million ways over, or flip it sideways.
And then go. There we go. Excellent. All right. So that was Javelin. Lots of discussion. Lots of things to think about. I do think we'll have a April session for feedback on virtual gear. I'm just looking, and Anzandi, we must just book that for. I don't know. Did we have? It's not in the. We haven't done Mazik. Maybe May. Okay. Excellent. Let's quickly share and let's keep going and reading through the missions. And the next one in the book, in the document, says, okay, Javelin we've done. All right, Javelin. Now we come to shot put. All right. So shot put, we've got ping pong balls, and I want to encourage you that not all ping pong balls are as bouncy. If you get a very light ping pong ball, it bounces a lot. So it probably might just bounce out of your target box, which is your ice cream container. All right. So be very careful when it says shot is in the target. So you've got to launch the shot put into the target. All right. But the robot must be in base. Am I correct, Sylvia?
Yeah.
There we go. So the robot has got to start in base, and the target box must be stuck down in area B over here. All right. So you have got 3 ping pong balls, and you must get them into that box. All right. But even one on the little area on the zone, I must actually show you on my mat, is fine because it's not there. But this one is not. This one is not. If you can get 5 points in the area B, well, at least they're there. But of course, it's not good. It mustn't roll out of the area as well. All right. I just had a weird thing. I threw a little ping pong ball, but it was obviously quite old, so it actually broke. It broke because it was so brittle. So when you buy ping pong balls, make sure they're a little heavier and that they go into the target box, which is a 2-liter ice cream container. I think it's 2 liter. I see 1.5 or 2 liter. It's that kind of rectangular one. All right. Now, if you're looking at this, a shot put is a ping pong ball and you've got to throw it. A javelin was a pencil and you throw it. Can you see that that movement is probably the same? All right. Just the front part has got to be changed. For a shot put, for a ping pong ball, or for holding a javelin. You could use the same attachment. You could. All right. I'm going to go to the next one and then we'll stop for questions. All right. Soccer, however, it says you've got to shoot goals, ping pong balls, onto the target wall. So we've got to hear it hit the target wall. And those it's a piece of cardboard that you put around the back there. So there's your little cardboard there and there. So you've actually got to hit it. All right. You have to hit the wall. If it hits the wall, you get 10 points. All right. If it doesn't hit the wall, but it's in little area A, we'll give you 5 points. Okay. So in other words, if you just roll the ball there, but you've got to make sure it doesn't bounce. So there is a bit of testing of your thing. All right. It says you've got to launch the soccer ball. Ping pong balls bounce. So just make sure that you just enough to hit the wall, but it's hit the wall, then it's fine. If as long as it's hit the wall, you get your 10 points for hitting the wall, then it doesn't matter where it ends. All right. We good? Okay. Right. And what's the other one? Oh, there's the score sheet. I'm going to stop here before we continue on the score sheet and say, are there any questions? Any questions? We're good. You've got a starting base and you've got to hit the ball against the wall, so it makes a noise. So there it doesn't matter, like the javelin, you can't go too far, all right? But for the soccer, you've just got to hit it against the wall, then you get your 10 points. Right? There's a difference. So you can maybe have a little bit more speed, a little bit more power, because you only have to hit the wall. It doesn't matter where it bounces back. The other side is the shot put. It's got to go in and not hop out, because the most disastrous would be if it hops out. All right. Any questions? Any questions? Is everybody reading the documents? Come, somebody's got to put their hand up. Anybody? Anybody? No? No? I know time, I think there was a previous robotic set, there was an arm. We used to play golf with it. You can maybe use the golf arm, kind of the same design, and you use it to then hit the. Anybody got any questions? Welcome to Mello. Welcome.
Question on the chat box. I don't know if you've answered that.
No,
but
read it.
Lulu was asking, can I please ask one javelin at a time?
Ooh, Sylvia?
I mean, you should probably read the documents and then read between the lines.
Can you put 2 javelins on there?
It doesn't say you can't.
Okay.
But then again, you can do it. There's nothing that says you can't. The thing is just
Okay.
risk. You get one javelin wrong, that's one
Yes.
javelin for a second try. But that's exactly what you teach the kids. Again, it's trial and error, but also risk and reward. Maybe you're running out of time, so then you decide to put both of them on so that you can run another
Yes.
mission. But maybe
Yes.
you'll have more than enough time and the first one doesn't go right, then you can do the second one slightly better. Same thing for shot put and soccer. You can very much launch all 3 of them, but ping pong balls, as much as some of them aren't bouncy, they do bounce off of each other.
Yes. So that would be, but actually that would be an interesting experiment to do. Throw 2 javelins and see what your answer is, and throw one at a time. Then you maybe score more points. It'll take a little longer, but you will maybe get more points.
Yeah. There's also
Good
good
question.
choices to land in different places. Just based off.
Nokalunga? Very good question. Are
But
you gonna
again,
let us know?
Yeah, let the kids test it. Make them test it. Ask them if they do one at a time. Ask them what happens if they put the other one on there.
Well, definitely, if you're running out of time, if you've only got like 5 seconds, instead of launching one and then another one, so then you might miss it. Maybe take the chance then. Maybe take the risk and throw both javelins together. Cool. I like. All right. Thanks for that question. Anzani, any more questions on the chat?
There is no more questions on the chat box. No hands. So yeah.
No hands. No hands. All right. Okay, so maybe just to sum it up as well, you as the coach need to then do each of these missions and then time it. All right. How long does it take and how many points do you get? And then at the end, you have to have a list. And if you are running all the missions in more than 120 seconds, your team needs to decide which of the missions are they not going to do. This is where strategy comes in. All right. So say you've got all the missions on a piece of paper, but it takes 150 seconds. Okay. Then you say, all right, so either we kind of make the missions faster so that we squeeze everything into 120 seconds for the same points, or we don't do one mission. Maybe a mission that takes more than 30 seconds, then we don't do that one. So that way you balance it out. Okay, everybody with me? Okay. So instead of saying, these are our missions and this is what we're going to do, then maybe not. Maybe sit down and look at the team and say, right, we can score, what is the total score for this thing, Sylvia? 150.
I'm not sure. Just check the bottom of the score sheet. So on the top of my head.
Okay. All right. So say it's 150 points. All right. You can get 150 points. Great. But it takes 200 seconds. Not great. Okay. So if you're going to do it in the order that you've planned, at 120 seconds, the referee must stop the robot, and then ta-da. Right. Before you go to a competition, you have a strategy time. All right. And you decide, all right, in the 120 seconds that we have, what are we going to do? And if we do those missions, how many points do we have? If we want to get more points, well, then we have to do more missions. But that means the ones that we have on our list, we're going to have to do that faster or do it together. So there comes the question of whether you put 2 javelins together and launch 2 javelins. All right? Might be a little bit of a risk, but maybe that's what your team wants to do. Okay? Also with soccer, do you want to put all 3 balls, or do you want to put 1 ball, another ball, another ball? Okay, that's the chance you take. Is it running around a track? Are you first going to go around the track and get the cups off and bring them back to base and get those points, and then do follow the line? Or you're going to say like, nah, let's just do it all together, and you just go around the track a little bit slower because you've got to pick up the cups as you go along and bring them back to base. So work out those 2 scenarios, work out the other 2 scenarios and see which one is in the least time the most points. And there's always a risk factor. Some of them are high risk and there is a chance that you get nothing. Okay, but know that your limit is 120 seconds and that's what you have to work towards. Your strategy has to fit into that. That comes kind of 2 or 3 weeks down the line when your team has all these little missions programmed and you can test them for how many seconds, how many points. And then you start putting it all together and to say, in our 120 seconds, this is what we're going to do. And you have a strategy. And yes, it's exciting. Sometimes you've got to leave missions out that you really enjoy doing. But then you get one person, maybe somebody with a loud voice on the team who will shout out which mission goes and have groups of learners responsible for each mission. But remember, there's only 1 robot. Okay, so you might need to change an attachment, turn an attachment around. That's part of the strategy. Okay, that also takes up seconds, by the way. Okay, any last questions before we close the session? Anybody want to ask any questions? Anybody? No? All right.
Can I ask a question on the map, Doc?
Sure, Lusanda, yes.
Okay, I didn't read as yet the document, but I'm a bit skeptical or concerned whether I'll be able to print this mat somewhere in Zomo or on the nearby town, or maybe my learners can draw the mat, if they're gonna draw the mat, on which kind of a paper, like where I'm gonna get this big paper, you see. I'm just concerned, like, but I didn't go to the document and read about it. I'm just thinking, like, if it's gonna be possible. If you can just give me an idea.
Okay, so Sylvia's got her hand up. Sylvia?
If you've already got a table or you just have a nice piece of floor, there are instructions in the document with all the measurements and everything of how to stick it with insulation tape or electrical tape, depending on which one you want to call it. You just measure everything out and stick it. It's not going to look as fancy, and you are going to have to keep the floor clean while you are busy testing it. If you're using a Lego table, that's a little bit preferred, but the surface may be a little bit rough. It's not, the whole point of this is not to be as accurate as possible. It's to be neat, tidy, and as accurate as you can get it. And then also, if you've got multiple teams and you stick multiple mats on the floor or on the table, just make sure they like sort of stick to the same one. because if you are sticking it by hand, it tends to be just a teeny bit inaccurate every single time, and they're constantly adjusting their programs. If you've if you've got an old robotics mat or a previous gear mat, you can also stick it on the back of that, because then the surface is a little bit more friendly to the robot's wheels.
And the third option as well, if you want to order one, there is a on one of the documents there is an email address, and you can order it. And I think it works out to about 800 Rand for the mat, and the postage will probably be about 200 Rand if you're going to courier it to you. That's also an option. Okay.
Yeah, that is also an option.
But that is an option. We print ours here at Business Point. They print it for us. I'll actually show you. Let me show you my mat quickly.
Yeah.
This
is the mat here. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's the same size as an FLL mat, but I printed double. So on this side there it goes, and then that's the other side. So there's two. The one team plays on this mat, and the one team plays on that mat. Okay.
Oh, that one looks nice. Tell me, is this a virtual gear tournament going to change the theme again, whereby next year you will need to buy another mat? If I invest on buying the mat, does this mean I will have to buy the mat again next year, or maybe sometime?
Every year there's a different theme. Sometimes we reuse the mats. Otherwise, we just use it in class for teaching. Yeah, but every year the theme is different. So if you go look on the M3 portal as well, last year was It's a Party, friendship. So it was all about a castle and friendship. The year before that, it was It's a Party. There were a lot of sweets and chocolates on a mat. So it's just the layout of a mat. The lines are very basic for virtual gear because it is a learning environment. At all times, all the mats need to be able to stick it with insulation tape. For me, I travel a lot. My team is on the road every month, and so the virtual gear mats travel. We don't have time to stick them, so we just print them. It makes it easier for the team just to roll it out and use it in a workshop and then roll it up again. So our virtual gear mats at the end of a season are finished. We use them up. We have a lot of fun with them, but it just makes it easier for my team to roll up the mats and use them for the next venue. And all the pieces like the toilet rolls and the ice cream containers, and we've used yogurt containers, and we've used margarine containers, and we've used quite a lot of innovative stuff over the past few years. That is all in a big box of things, and so we use those as challenges when we go and visit and do robotics competitions all over the country. Yeah.
Okay. So Patricia.
Yes, and Arnie. Yes.
Okay, just to add there, you forgot to say we use a lot of chocolates and sweets as well.
That's dangerous.
Yes, but nonetheless, there are two comments on the chat section. One is from Shandu. She's saying, I joined late due to network problems and even the voices aren't clear at times. Can you kindly send the presentations to our groups or to the email she provided? And then the other comment is from Sipho Sihle. Sipho Sihle says, I understood most of what you were talking about. However, would like to ask, what is this session about?
Okay. All right. So, all right, so let's go with Shandu first. Shandu, the PDFs are available on the M3 MOOC portal. Just give me a thumbs up if you know where that is, or unmute yourself so I can just make sure that you know where that is. The recordings of the presentations are available on the iSet, it's iSet UNISA YouTube channel. YouTube, there we go. And they should be available by after the weekend. That's our YouTube channel where everything is. Sifusile, this is about the virtual gear robotics competition, this session. On Tuesday and on Wednesday, we did an introduction to the competition. And today we're just going through the missions to understand and to help you as coaches on how you help your teams participate in the competition. Okay, and maybe specifically you can also just unmute yourself. Just tell us, do you know where the M3 MOOC portal is, and do you know about M1 and M2? I just need to hear your voice and just understand where you are. Thanks, Anzani. Do you want?
Hello.
Yes. Hi. Yes.
Hi. So I think I sent you an email saying that if you need any help with anything or assistance, I would gladly help. So I'm not a coach, or I'm just a student.
Not just a student, yes. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. But you are very welcome. So this is a robotic competition that the UNISA Science Engagement Center hosts. And in the session are all the coaches of the robotics teams throughout South Africa, and they will be participating in the competition. And I think you need to go and visit Anzani in the Science Center. Maybe one day next week we can make an appointment, and then she will explain how this works. How does that sound?
Yes, I'm okay with that.
I don't want to chase you away because I am really inspired by our UNISA students who volunteer and help us with this program. Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I'm going to, I see Tumela's also in the session. Tumela's usually in the hub, except when we're on the road, and we're on the road quite a lot. This April is looking very hectic, but maybe just send Tumela an email, and when we're in the hub again, then we'll arrange that you come and visit us. How does that? Yes?
Oh, okay. I'm supposed to come there on Tuesday, so I spoke to Tumela.
Excellent. Then you're in good hands. Okay. Looking forward to it. All right. Thank you very much. Excellent. All right. That's the one. Where was I now? All right. Shandu, can you just confirm that you know where the M3 is? Shandu?
I think Shandu has left, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, no. Right, hopefully they come back again. All right, let's have a look. Lusanda's got a hand up. Hi, Lusanda.
Yes, Dr. Haas. I'm just thinking now, because I had noticed that vinyl material also works. Like, for instance, I've gotten an extra mat whereby I use the banner, if you know the banner. So I had noticed vinyl material as well. But now I'm thinking, because it has to be white now, whether now if I put the papers, if it's not going to affect the flow of the robot. But I do have that suggestion on my mind that I'm gonna use a vinyl mat. But now I'm worried because now it has to be white on top for the visibility of the mark that has drawn there.
Okay, Sylvia's going to reply to you, Lusanda.
Yeah, our mats are printed on PVC vinyl. It is the banner material. So for anybody that wants to print it, you find your nearest banner printer. But yes, if you've got a piece, that's fine. Also, if it's black, just use white insulation tape. It does not have to match our colors exactly. Unless you want to use the blue and the yellow, those also don't have to be colored. As long as you mark them somehow so that the kids can tell the difference and so that you know where your mat is. But please, if you are using black vinyl, just use white tape. The reason we have the black on white is just for contrast, because we have line follows. But yes, if you go back to previous examples of gear competitions, my example mat has been flipped. So it's a black mat with white tape. Just use a contrasting color, that's all.
Yeah.
So it'll be perfect.
As long as the measurements are correct. So
Yeah.
that you get.
Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Any other questions? Anybody else? This has been a really great session. I really appreciate your participation as well. We're here to make sure that everybody gets a fair chance to participate in a robotics competition. And for this, Virtual Gear, the focus has always been participate where you are. There's no traveling expenses. It allows you to implement everything you've learned in M1 and M2. So there is a passive attachment, there's a powered attachment, there's use of sensors, there is some gearing that could improve it. But the most important thing is you need to have a strategy, all right? You need to have a strategy. And at the end, maybe after 2 or 3 weeks, you've got a whole collection of missions. Time them and see each mission, how long does it take, how many points, and then maybe reconsider what can you do, because your strategy needs to fit into 120 seconds. That's when it starts and that's when it ends. And you have to allow for time as well to take off attachments and maybe add another attachment or to adapt a little bit. And remember, you can only touch your robot when it's on the green square. And if you ask why the square is green, the square is green because I like the color green. All right. Anzani, are there any other questions in the chat?
No, it's actually a comment from Gerard, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He just notified us that he did find M1, M2, and M3 on the MOOC portal and the joinable sites. So thank you.
Ha! Mission accomplished. Excellent. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thank you for joining the session. We really do appreciate it as a team. Tumelo's got guests in the Science Center at the moment, so he's not saying much today. Sylvia is the technical go-to person. All technical questions must be, it's always good to have one person so you don't get mixed messages. So Sylvia has been appointed for this competition as the technical advisor. Thank you, Sylvia, for volunteering. Andani, thank you for help hosting with me. And from our side, we will definitely have another Q&A session. We will put it out on the program. Or maybe if we have a free afternoon and we're kind of looking for something to do. But keep the questions rolling. I'm happy to answer any questions. And maybe we'll compile a frequently asked questions. It's about learning. It's about learning and trying new things. And if you think that 2 javelins go further than 1, test it out. If you think that big wheels and small wheels, and try it out and let me know. Yeah, let us know. And show us what you're trying. Yeah, so just have fun and make sure that you're applying everything you've learned. Our kids have got creativity, that's for sure, and a lot of imagination. And let's see where we go on this. All right, and let's see, maybe in 2028, let's see what our Olympics looks like. But for now, these are the field events. Lusanda, we'll probably use the same mat in 2028 when we do Olympics again. But we'll maybe add some different sports. So yeah, it's good. And thank you also to my team. They'll be traveling throughout South Africa and they will be using the Virtual Gear mat. So if you find them, then you can come and see and get some tips on how to enter Virtual Gear 2024, the Robo Olympics. All right. Thank you, everybody. Stay well. Have a wonderful weekend. It's weekend. Yay. And for those who are joining our chess day on Saturday, I'll see you there. And then I think next week is chess. Hey, Anzani, I think next week is chess.
Yes, next week, Tuesday, we start chess, yes.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. If you want to come and do something really cool, come to our chess. It's hosted by our interns. They are really out of the box thinking, and it's a lot of fun. Though the robot's not playing chess, it's just chess. And it's about problem solving and having different strategies of how to solve problems. But come and join the chess sessions Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week. All right. Thank you, everybody. Stay well. Bye. I need to stop the recording. All right. Stop the recording. Thank you, everybody.